Hello, and welcome to week 3 of the ConsciRise Consciousness course. My name is Jonathan, and I'm really excited to spend this week with you, guiding you through another approach, another perspective on your path to cultivating more awareness and developing your consciousness in the spiritual path, which is important work. And I applaud you for showing up to the fullest capacity that you're able to in this moment. And this week, we're going to focus on healing through daily routine. And we'll also focus on some practices we can incorporate in our daily routine to enliven our consciousness. And my name is Jonathan Hall. I am a health coach, a wellness consultant, a health educator. I have a background in Ayurvedic medicine, as well as being a yoga teacher. I also am a chiropractic assistant, assisting with exercise rehabilitation. So, fitness and health are very important to me, and something I'm very passionate about educating people on. And it's an important point when we talk about consciousness, because as you learned in week 1 and week 2, the importance of and power of awareness with Dr. Marcia, as well as how to actually carve out time to prioritize our spiritual practices and the inner work that we're doing on the spiritual path. It's just as important to take care of our physical body as well as our minds as we are walking the spiritual path, because the level of our consciousness and the ability to raise our vibration and to gain higher states of consciousness is dependent on the quality and health of our body. In fact, the quality of our breath is actually the quality of our life, which is just one aspect of how our physiology is intimately connected with the quality of our consciousness, with our awareness. And so this week, I will be talking about how we can cultivate a daily routine and a lifestyle that actually supports our spiritual path. And my perspective is rooted in the Vedic teachings that come from ancient India. Two sciences that actually come from the Vedic literature are Ayurveda and yoga. And many people are familiar with yoga as a spiritual science. Many people have heard of the chakra systems, and they have also practiced yoga asanas, which are the postures, as part of the yoga practice. But what's little known is that there is a entire system science that is behind the yogic practice, and asana, the postures, are just one aspect. Another aspect of yoga is pranayama, which are controlled breathing techniques that allow us to control the breath and to use the breath as a vehicle to be in the present moment and to raise our awareness, to become more bodily conscious, more conscious of the thoughts and the nature of our state of mind, as well as meditation, which is another really important practice that comes from the yogic tradition. And there's various different types of meditations that you can practice. So there are definitely different techniques in that realm as well. And a lot of this comes from the Vedic literature. The sister science to yoga, which is lesser known, is Ayurveda. Ayurveda is considered a science of life, or a science of the lifespan, how to enliven our quality of life and how to extend our lifespan. So it focuses on the physical body as well as the mind, on health as the foundation for being able to develop consciousness. And I love teaching and talking about Ayurveda. It's a complex and deep science rooted in tradition and in logic. And today, I just want to introduce the concept to you because my perspective of daily routine will be rooted in this science of Ayurveda, which actually is two words, Ayur and Veda. Ayur means life and Veda means knowledge. So again, it's just referring to this science that is the science of life, of wholeness. And it's a holistic perspective of viewing our bodies, of viewing our minds, and viewing spirituality as a wholeness perspective of considering body, mind, and spirit. And so in Ayurveda and in yoga, there's three pillars of health that essentially determine the quality of our life and the quality of our awareness. And those are our daily routine, which in Ayurveda we call it Dinacharya. There is our quality of sleep, which is really important, especially nowadays. So many people are not sleeping well, which is impacting their quality of life. So Ayurveda prioritizes sleep as one of the pillars of health. And the third pillar of health is our food, our diet. And so, over the next 3 days of this course, we'll talk individually about those different realms. But today, I want to focus on the Dinacharya, the Ayurvedic daily routine that's recommended. And there are a lot of various recommendations that come from Ayurveda. And so, I'm just going to give a very brief overview of what Dinacharya is and some general recommendations that can be applied to all people. And so Dinacharya in Ayurveda refers to a daily routine that is designed to align with the rhythms of nature and to promote overall well-being. Because the science of Ayurveda is all about recognizing that we are part and parcel of nature. We are nature. And so our lives and our quality of life is intimately connected with the cycles of nature. And so we have our daily cycles with the sun and the moon. We have our digestion cycles. We have our sleep cycles, the circadian rhythm. We have seasonal cycles. So there's all these cycles in nature. And Ayurveda teaches us how to align our behavior with the cycles of nature so that we can live happier and healthier. And by living happier and healthier, we actually are able to raise our vibration, increase our awareness, and develop our consciousness on the spiritual path. And so I am providing a general worksheet that outlines a general daily routine recommendation. And today I want to focus on the morning routine aspect of that worksheet. And so attached to this video file, you'll find that recommendation sheet. And I'm going to open it up here so that I can go over the very first part, which is the wake up routine and the morning routine. And it's actually very important to prioritize like the way we wake up and the way that we spend our time in the mornings, because in a lot of ways, the way that we spend our time in the mornings determines the rest of our day. And so if we start our mornings off with practices and mindfulness, we can actually move through the rest of our day with that same intention. And so on the sheet, you'll see that in the very first quadrant on the top left is the wake up routine. And so in Ayurveda, it's recommended to wake up by sunrise. And so again, it's all about aligning our behavior with the cycles of nature. And so when the sun comes up, we're meant to rise. And when the sun goes down, we're meant to go to sleep. And so one of the first things you should do when you wake up is drink a glass of water, maybe 8 ounces, to just flush out the system. It helps to jumpstart our digestive tract and can promote early morning defecation, which is actually really important. In a lot of sciences, including Chinese medicine, in addition to Ayurveda, recognize that the quality of our stool and the nature of our bowel movements actually can be indicative of our quality of health. And so it's actually recommended that we have our first bowel movement first thing in the morning. And drinking a glass of water can help that and not only cleanse the digestive tract, flush out our system, but actually jumpstart our metabolism. It's recommended that we brush our teeth, scrape the tongue. So of course, dental care is very important. And brushing the teeth we know about, but not a lot of people know about scraping the tongue. And so it's recommended to take either a stainless steel or copper tool to actually scrape the plaque off of our tongue. And that actually helps our taste buds better taste the food. And it also removes excess bacteria and waste that we don't need to be consuming along with the food that we're eating. And of course, it's important to remove the bacteria from the night before. And then after that, it's recommended that we shower in the morning and go for an early morning walk. And so it's your choice whether you'd like to go for the early morning walk for about 20 minutes before your shower, or after your shower. But it is recommended that you walk first thing in the morning for about 15 to 20 minutes. Again, that helps jumpstart the metabolism. It helps increase circulation in the body. It gets the lymphatic system flowing, which is really important because movement is the key to moving the lymphatic system. And that's a whole nother conversation I could get into, but the lymph system is dependent on movement. And so sedentary lifestyles lead to stagnation, not only in um, other areas of the body, but also the lymph system. And that's why people tend to not feel well when they aren't moving, when they're living a sedentary lifestyle. Speaking of which, a mindful movement practice is recommended in Ayurveda and yoga, and it's recommended to do it in the morning because it's a great way to energize the body and to clear the mind. It's actually really great for the mind. So you'll see on the morning routine sheet here, yoga, pranayama, meditation are recommended. And they're recommended in that order, yoga referring to the postures, the asanas. So maybe a 10 to 15 minute stretch. Even if it's not yoga, you could do just 10 to 15 minutes of nice stretches, followed by some kind of active workout, whether you like to work out with weights or whether you like to do core or cardio, some kind of exercise is recommended. And then follow that up with breath work, which is pranayama. And then after the breath work, you could do a 10 to 20-minute meditation. And so this highlights what we learned in week 1 about making the time for yourself and for your inner practice, because taking the time to take care of your physical body and to nurture your mind are critical if you're going to walk the path and develop your spiritual health and to develop consciousness. And so at the end of this video, I'm actually going to introduce a yoga practice called the Yogic Breath, which is a pranayama that is accessible for anyone. And each day during this week 3 course, I will introduce a new different type of pranayama breathing technique to help you calm your nervous system and enliven your mind and to become more present and bodily aware. And so allowing time for the morning practice is really important. And then, of course, following that up with a nice breakfast at a reasonable time. And tomorrow on day 2, I'll go into more detail about diet and recommendations for food for the Dinacharya, for the Ayurvedic daily routine. But for now, I'd like to introduce this pranayama technique called the Yogic Breath to help you cultivate a daily routine that is aligned with nature and aligned with the recommendations of Ayurveda and yoga. And so this technique is very simple. It starts with taking a deep inhale into your abdomen, inhaling into the mid belly, letting the rib cage expand, and then inhaling into the upper chest, letting your chest expand, and then maybe holding for a moment at the top before exhaling and releasing all the air out of your lungs, relaxing at the bottom of your exhale, at the pit of your belly. So maybe you'd like to try here with me. We'll take 3 yogic breaths together, inhaling deeply into your abdomen. Let your belly expand. As you bring the breath up to your mid belly, let your rib cage expand. Let your chest expand as you hold at the top. Soften the shoulders. And then exhale. Release all the air out of your lungs. Take another deep inhale into your belly. Fill your lungs, let your heart expand, holding for just a moment at the top for as long as is comfortable before exhaling and releasing all the air out of your lungs. And take one more deep inhale with me, letting the belly expand, letting the rib cage expand, holding as you soften your shoulders. And then exhale, release all the air out of your lungs. And 3 to 5 minutes of yogic breathing can make a profound change and shift in your state of consciousness and your state of awareness. And so I encourage you today to practice this yogic breathing technique and to consider this daily routine called a Dinacharya and how you can incorporate it into your life. And if you'd like, journal about your experience with the yogic breath, and I'll meet you tomorrow for day 2 of our week 3 class. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I will see you again soon.